How much alimony should I pay when I move out? Hi, I'm Bill Farias, founder and CEO of Farias Family Law. And this situation comes up all the time. You have the higher earner leaving the home, you have a financially dependent spouse at the home, and the higher earner has to figure out how much support to pay, how much money to send over to help the spouse. And this is something that you want to be really careful about. You cannot do this in a cavalier way. You can put yourself in a really, really difficult situation. So, first of all, obviously, this applies when you are the high earner and you leave the house and you have to figure out how much support to provide. Alimony is based on the need of the recipient, so the need of the lower earning spouse. Now, what are needs? Basically, it's the amount of money that that person needs week in and week out to maintain a standard of living that's at least comparable to what that person enjoyed during the marriage. When people get divorced, both sides have to make some financial sacrifices. It's not going to be exactly like it was before because two households are necessarily more expensive than one, but the court aims to put the recipient as close to the standard of living enjoyed during the marriage. And so you got to figure out, what does this person need to attain that? You're going to look at the expenses. You're going to look at what this person has to pay month in and month out. You also have to consider that the alimony law specifically provides a guide that reads that alimony should be between 30 and 35% of the difference between the spouse's incomes. That number has, for the most part, been adjusted by most judges and attorneys because as of 2019, alimony is no longer taxable and tax deductible at the federal level. And so the result is that if you use that 30 to 35% number, which was factoring in the tax liability and the tax deduction at that time when that law was written, if you do that now and you don't adjust for the fact that there are no longer taxes paid and no longer deductions on alimony, then you're going to get a really high alimony number that the payor probably won't be able to afford, right? Because the payor can no longer get that tax deduction, and without that tax benefit, it can really be cost prohibitive. So what a lot of judges and attorneys have done is they've shifted that percentage down to anywhere between, we've seen 23% all the way up to 30% plus. Most of the time it's 23 to 29%. So you got to figure out, depending on your specific numbers, and you'd have to talk to a tax professional about this, where that should fall. So what we try to do is typically try to get it to around what the equivalent would be of 33%. And that usually lands in the 26-ish percent range, sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower. So the point is, you're looking at the recipient's need, and you're also looking at this number of approximately 26% and trying to figure out, if you were to go in front of a judge, what would a judge order? If the need is lower than 26% of the difference between the gross incomes, then that should rule. So you want to analyze that, and that's going to help you figure out about what your alimony liability would be. So the best way to approach this is, first of all, get this issue assessed, talk to a reliable divorce attorney to crunch the numbers, to figure out what you should be paying. It is dangerous to leave and just not pay anything. Obviously, if you have a dependent spouse, first of all, that person's needs are important and should be accounted for. And if you don't pay anything, then the other side is likely just going to file a motion at some point and go before a judge to address the issue. So you want to try to get ahead of it and see if you can lock in an amount that makes sense and is fair. So it's really important to understand that although you probably in most cases want to start paying something, you don't want to overpay, because if you make a bad judgment call and you overpay and you're overpaying over a significant period of time, what you're doing is you're creating a precedent so that if this issue were ever to go before a judge is going to look at what you have been providing in support and may weigh that in determining what a fair alimony amount is. So if you've been overpaying for a long time, then a judge might come to the conclusion, okay, this person, the payor, might be able to afford that, and the recipient needs it because this was the arrangement between them. They were doing it privately, so why change it? So you got to make sure that you don't overpay. You got to make sure that you talk to an attorney before you start these payments to figure out a fair amount. If you have any other questions, call us 508-675-0464. You can email us at info@fariousfamilylaw.com. If you found this video helpful, like, subscribe, share it with anyone you think might benefit from it. And you can find us on social at Farious Family Law. Thank you. Have a good day.